Hi, my name is Lourdes. I'm an executive producer of I'm Everywhere,
And hi, I'm Shay Simone. I'm the director of I'm Everywhere.
and you're listening to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 322, where tonight we are going to be reviewing my birthday pick of 1960s Black Sunday. Unfortunately, no Totter this week. He is just a slacker, isn't he? He's always missing that son of a bitch. But I am, of course, here with everyone's favorite, Steve. Steve, how you doing this week?
Doing good. Happy birthday, Joe.
Thank you.
Hopefully you're having a fantastic birthday week. What are you
Indeed.
now, like 25? Something like
Oh, yeah. Those were the days.
that?
No,
Right?
I will be, someone actually asked me this the other day and I completely forgot my age. I think it just like you start to forget after a while.
Yeah,
But
after a
no,
while it
I'll
doesn't
be,
matter anymore.
yeah, it doesn't matter. It all sort of merges together. But I'll be 37. I'll be the ripe old age of 37. 40 is creeping up, but I don't feel it. Not yet. Just in my body sometimes, the aches
Yeah,
become
you'll
worse and worse.
aging sucks, but it's part of life. We also get wiser in our age, I
Hmm.
think. Maybe not.
That's right.
I like to think that anyway. So yeah, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
And your pick, Black Sunday. Just curious.
Yes.
That's not a pick I expected. So
Yes.
why Black Sunday?
Sure. So I picked Black Sunday. Well, the two reasons really. One of the reasons is we have a 1960s episode coming up later this year, where we are, of course, are going to count down our top 10 movies of 1960. And, I think I have my top like five kind of locked in, but I'm not as well versed in 1960s horror as I probably should be. So I definitely wanted to take a look at Black Sunday because when you look it up, it's always amongst the top movies. When you look up 1960s horror, it's considered a horror classic. I haven't really watched any other, I don't think, Mario Bava movies, so I definitely wanted to check at least one of his movies off my box. Another big factor was Monster Mania announced Barbara Steele as a guest as well. So I was like, well, maybe I want to meet her. I mean, she's, a big part of horror history and stuff like that. She's considered, sort of horror royalty. So I was like, I haven't seen any of her horror movies. So this would be a good start. So yeah, those were the two main factors.
Jesus, she's still alive?
Yes, she's
God, she must be
90,
fucking
I think
yeah.
96, and she's gonna be at the
Shit,
con.
that's
She
crazy.
was actually at Frightmare last year, Steve. But
Was she?
we didn't she was at Frightmare last year, but we did not. I saw her from
I
afar,
think I did.
but
She was like at the
yeah,
back wall, right?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
she was in the
She
back
she's
sort of
was she
corner.
right next to Raimi or really close to
No,
Raimi?
I don't think so, because
No.
Raimi had
Well, you
Ted
had
Raimi, his
Ted right
brother,
next,
and
right?
Serena Vincent was over there too. She was in the
Hmm.
other corner. She was like in
Okay,
the far right corner
near the
there.
clowns.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Yeah, near the Chiodo brothers. And I didn't care because I didn't know who she was.
Right.
But I was like, now that she got announced for Mania, I was like, let me check out a movie and see if she's worth meeting. And I'll let you know if I want to meet her or not after you hear my review.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I agree. See, 1960s is kind of a black hole for me. I could probably make a better pre-1960 list, like we're gonna do next year, right now,
Mhm.
than I can a 1960 list. Because a lot of movies that I had on my, like, I made a list kind of just going off memory at first, and I look at them, it's fuck, that's 57, fuck, that's 56,
Hmm.
fuck, that's 58. I'm like, damn it, what the hell is in the 60s? Other than like like maybe, yeah, like you said, maybe five. I don't have a lot, so I have a lot of research to do this year, and yeah, it's a good, good start. There's quite a bit on my list. There's questions about it in our questions period that relate to the 60s and the 60s episode and what we're excited for, what we're not. So we'll get to that. But yeah, interesting pick. I was definitely a left field pick, which I appreciate
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And another factor I think is we don't cover a lot of old horror. I feel like we kind of stay in the realm of 80s to now.
Yeah,
We hardly ever
sure.
kind of go back into the
Maybe
70s and
70s.
60s. Yeah, a decent amount of that, but we never go back into the
No,
60s and before. We've done a couple of Universal Monster picks,
yeah, which is
and
like
stuff
30s,
like that.
40s. And
Right.
I think this might be our second 60s film after only
Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah.
So we'll have to have to dig deeper into the 60s, which we will be
Yep.
this summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, start preparing those lists, ladies and gentlemen, because we want your ultimate lists for the 1960s. Which, yeah, I mean, there's a few big contenders. Obviously, I feel like that will be
Sure.
heading in that number one territory. But after that, I'm very interested to see where everyone else's picks are going to lie. Alrighty, so Steve, let's get into it. We have some questions, right, to
Yeah.
jump into for this week.
We do. So you can ask us those questions on social media at the Horror Squad Podcast, or of course in our Discord, which is where all these questions came from. So thank you very much to everyone in the Discord. Absolutely free to join. It's basically just a chat group with a bunch of horror nerds that are all really solid. So you're not getting like trolling and all that kind of garbage. I mean, people know each other well, so they troll each other like jokes, but there's no like bad comments, and it's a really amazing community. So if you're looking for a safe place to talk horror, it's definitely where you want to be. So the first question is from one of our good friends, Eric. He asks, "You're making a movie. You have the script written. Now you just need to choose a director and cast. The only caveat, you can't use traditional horror names. Choose your director, lead actor, lead actress, a supporting actor or actress, and what subgenre are you making?"
My goodness, so we're making our own horror movie here,
Basically, yeah.
and everybody that's going to be in it. Yeah, I mean, I have an idea for a horror movie in my head that I've started to put on to paper recently. You know, working down in the tunnels of the trains, I've come up with a bit of a horror movie that I would like to maybe one day bring to life. So it would be like a found footage style horror movie is where I'm kind of heading, of people who kind of break into the subway tunnels at night and stuff like that. As far as who would play it, I mean, obviously I can't afford anyone, so it'd be all indie actors. But in my dream scenario, I would personally like to direct it. As far as who would star in it, yeah, I mean it's a great question. I guess like yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't know who I would want. Who would be my lead actress in this movie? Anya Taylor-Joy is a delight, and I would love
Sure.
to have her in there, of course. Yeah, I'm really excited for a Mad Max movie that's going to be coming out at some
Yeah.
point. Right? Is it coming out? Has it been out? Is it out already? I don't even know at
No,
this
it's not.
point.
It's not
But
out yet, but it's close.
okay, yeah, Furio. Yeah, she's playing Furiosa, so that should be pretty cool. I mean, who else? What am I putting in here? Like lead actor and stuff.
Yeah, lead actor, supporting cast, things like that.
Sure. Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy will be my lead final girl. As far lead actor, let's throw in who's kind of a young hot actor on the streets right now.
Tom Atkins.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Tom Atkins would be like the one that warns them not to go down there. He'd play
Right.
the homeless man on the tracks maybe, or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a loaded question, and yeah, I don't know. I just have to go through the casting process. Maybe Eric, if you'd like to try out, I can get
Right.
you a role in there. But yeah, I don't know. What do you get, Steve?
So subgenre. So I have an idea of a film that I'm gonna definitely put on paper. Well, it's kind of mostly on paper, but I put it properly on paper. That's about a post-mortem photography, because I think it's an unexplored resource that I haven't really seen much of in horror films. In fact, the only one I can really think of that kind of delves into it is The Others, which is the movie with Nicole Kidman. But it's not about post-mortem photography. It's more like a thing that happens within the film to help them figure out what's going on, where I'd like to make a full film about it. My actors that I would choose, these are not necessarily like my favorite, at least not the male actor. The female is. It's just someone who I picture for that role for whatever reason, and it's Ewan McGregor. I just feel he fits the main actor that I envisioned for this particular film. Main actress would be Cate Blanchett, because she's my favorite actress. I think she's fantastic and everything. Made my heart like sank a little bit when I found out she was in the Epstein files. But it turns out that she was just mentioned as someone he had met at some point at a party. So seems like she wasn't actually involved with anything. Thank fucking God, because I did not want to, have to deal with that internally. Lead. I mean, for supporting, I need a couple young people. So maybe the girl who plays, what's her name? Rick's daughter in The Walking Dead, and she was also in a great episode of Creepshow with like a dollhouse. So her, I think, would be a good kind of supporting actress. And if I had to pick a director, I'd also want to direct it myself because I have the vision. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with like David Fincher, someone who understands kind of dark things. He said non-horror. I know he's done like Seven and Aliens, but he's mostly non-horror, I would say. So that would be my pick for that movie.
Yeah. If I had to pick a director, I'd pick I can't remember who directed it right now, but the dude who directed As Above, So Below.
Yeah, that's a
Because
good movie.
that's sort of the theme I'm going for in my movie, and he did a great job with that movie. So I think he would kill it with my script as
Yeah,
well.
super underrated found footage. Or is it
Yeah,
found? Was it found footage or was it
it
just?
was. It was
Yeah, it
fun
was found
footage.
footage. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good movie.
Maybe one to explore someday on the
Yeah,
pod here.
absolutely. That's it's the one in Tunnels in France, right? That's
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
The catacombs.
right. Yeah, that's awesome. Next question is from Cody Oddjob versus 007. Since Black Sunday is a 60s movie and that is the year's best of decade, did any of you grow up watching many 60s horror?
No, not really. Just the classics basically that, you kind of when you're trying to establish your sort of horror cred. You look up sort of the classics like Psycho and Rosemary's Baby, stuff like that. But as far as like the deeper cuts like Black Sunday and stuff like that, definitely not. So that's why I'm excited to start exploring it a little more now. I also when I was younger, I just didn't have the patience for older movies like I do
Right.
now for sure. So yeah, definitely not. But I'm excited to dive in deeper this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I did watch a lot of kaiju monsters. I
Mm.
like probably from that era. I have to look which ones are within the 60s because I think a lot of them are earlier. Like I know Godzilla's earlier, I know King Kong's earlier, but some of the like kind of Mothra versus, Rodan type of things are probably in the 60s. Yeah, 60s, like I said, is a black hole in my horror knowledge. Like I've seen Psycho multiple times. I've seen Rosemary's Baby, Night of the Living Dead, The Haunting. I've seen some of them, but I haven't seen a ton. So I'm actually looking forward to diving deep into that and finding out more. He says, "Is there one movie that stands out that listeners might want to check out before that episode?" So of the ones you've seen so far, do you have like a kind of more offbeat recommendation?
No, I don't yet. I haven't dived in deep enough yet, honestly. Black Sunday, which isn't even that deep of a dive, obviously, because it's one of considered a classic. So yeah, I honestly can't yet.
Yeah, so I'm going off memory. I do plan on rewatching this one, but Children of the Damned is one that I remember being good. Of course, The Haunting, like I said, this is not the one with her name escapes me right now.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. Thank you. So it's not that one that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about the original, and yeah, just things like that. There's a lot of Vincent Price that I'm looking forward to rewatching. I know we talked about one of them briefly when we did the retrospective.
Didn't we review a Vincent Price movie at some point or the other?
Have we reviewed a Vincent Price movie? That's a good
We
question.
have. We did. I can't remember which one it was though right now. Was it The Haunting?
Oh
Or
yes, we did. We did a Haunting at Hill
yeah.
House.
Haunting of Hill House. Yes.
Yeah, well, House on a Hill. Yes,
House on yes.
Yeah, but that was 50s, maybe. It's not
Is that
part of this
50s?
list. I think so
Okay.
because it's not on my list. So yeah, that's definitely a favorite of his.
Mhm.
So yeah, so definitely some stuff, but I don't have anything concrete either because, like I said, I'm going through that process right now. But if you follow the Discord, you know that I'm gonna say it if I see something kind of more obscure that is I recommend. So we'll give you some warning on that. And is there one you guys are looking forward to seeing from the decade that you haven't seen before?
Yes. Great question. Yeah, I always hear a lot about, and I think maybe you watched it, Steve, recently. Steve, is Eyes Without a Face?
I
Did you
did.
watch that
Yeah,
one
that's what
recently?
that's the first one well, I watched Psycho not too long ago, but Eyes
Mhm.
Without a Face was the official start of my 60s push.
Okay, yeah, I always hear a lot about that one. I always see that one come up on a lot of sort of best of lists, but also I am very excited to check out Repulsion because I've never seen it before. It is by Polanski, which, unfortunately.
Well,
But
that's
I've always,
his era, right?
right. I mean, I've always heard great things about that movie, and it's one I've never seen before. So, yeah, I would say Repulsion and Eyes Without a Face are the two top ones I'm most excited for.
Yeah, and the ones that I'm excited for, The Innocents, which I've never watched before, and I hear really great things about. And the other one I'm gonna go, House of Usher. It's another one that
Oh, yeah.
is highly recommended. And Peeping Tom. I don't know anything about it, but I saw it on quite a bit of lists that apparently is one to check out. So
Ooh, okay. I
those are
haven't
the
seen
three.
that one.
I'll send you a list, Joe, of the ones that I have
Please
on
do.
my watch list. So maybe you can watch some of those.
Please do. I'm excited. I just did a Google search and I saw The Pit and the Pendulum as
Yeah,
well.
that's what I was talking
It's-
about. So we
Yeah.
talked about the remake when we did the Stuart Gordon
Yes. Which
retrospective.
I'm the only one that liked it. I remember. I was like
Right.
really positive on it. And you and Todd
So
hated
I'm
it.
curious to watch the original in this rewatch because I thought I had watched it. Oh no, I did watch it because it's rated on my on my Letterboxd. But I want to rewatch it. Is what I want to do.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah,
Also,
'cause
there's
it,
Black
yes.
Sabbath. Black Sabbath is
Oh,
another
that's right. Yeah.
one that I'm excited for as well. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting 60s horror out there that I'm way behind on. So it'll be a busy few months for us for sure here.
Yeah, on top of the Romero retrospective, which we're doing.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Luckily, I've seen most of Romero's filmography, so I won't have to go too deep of a dive into him.
Yeah,
But
I actually started rewatching his stuff. I just watched Bruiser
yeah,
like
I
yesterday,
saw that.
and
Mhm.
it was better than I remember it. So, see, upon a
Awesome.
rewatch, I changed my score, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched man, I haven't seen Bruiser since like high school, so I don't remember much about it, but the movie cover, like I remember it so distinctly from my video
Oh
store,
yeah.
like back in the day. Like I remember that cover so well.
All right. So yeah. So the next question is from Shaylin, little three-chord me. Who's an actor or actress that you like that whenever a new project of theirs come out, you immediately want to watch it, even if it's not a show or movie you might normally check out?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I love currently Florence Pugh. Like anything she does, like after Midsummer, like just loved her performance in that, and everything she's done since has been great as well. I mean, Don't Worry, Darling was decent, but she gave a great performance in it, and obviously Oppenheimer, which was I loved it.
Right.
I assume, it's gonna winning all the fucking awards in the world, which deservedly so. It was like my favorite movie from last year. So yeah, Florence Pugh for sure. As far as actors go, I don't know. Help me out, Steve. I can't think of too many actors that are jumping out at me right now
There's a lot
that
of
excite me.
old actors that I'll
Mhm.
watch pretty much anything they're in. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger's my favorite actor, so that's number one. Tom Atkins, I'll watch anything. Vincent Price, if I see Vincent Price, I automatically add it to my to be list. Like it's
Mhm.
just there are some names that I'll automatically just watch whatever. I don't care what it is, whether it's a movie, a TV show, or a fucking obscure documentary or short or whatever. So there's that. So I'm actually doing a little retrospective just for myself for Lauren Lavera. Watching her 24 projects, trying to watch them all before Terrifier 3 comes out. I just really like her acting style. She's really good, and since we talked to her, she was so cool. So that's one. There's a lot of people. There's the one from what's that fucking movie? The Night House movie.
Oh yeah, is that what's the fuck's her name? She's great, Rebecca Hall.
Rebecca Hall. Like
She's fantastic. Yeah,
every performance she's in becomes a
she makes
contender
the
for
movie.
best
Yeah,
of
right.
So yeah, so people like that I think are, if I see their name, I'll watch their film regardless.
I have another shout out, a new one. Two. I get two shout outs actually for actresses. It's all the actresses. Jasmine Savoy Brown. Obviously, she got on our radar when we watched the Sound of Violence, which was a great performance by her, and now she's been doing Scream, Yellow Jackets, which she's great in that as well. So I'm definitely excited to see what she has up her sleeve throughout.
Have you seen The Leftovers?
I have not. Is she in that?
Yeah, and that's a great. It's only 3 seasons.
HBO series, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 seasons. It's a great fucking concept. It has to do with cults and everything. I think you would like it.
Nice. All right, I'll check that out for sure. And then I also want to shout out Marin Ireland, who was in The Dark and the Wicked, and also Birth Rebirth from last year. She
Mhm.
is another one, just like always gives just amazing performances. So yeah, shout out to all three of those lovely actresses.
Yeah, absolutely. The men need to get their shit on. Like the
Yeah,
women are
apparently
really.
there's just I can't think of anyone. I mean, I was like really impressed actually recently with oh, god damn, he's not horror, but the dude from The Bear, and he was in The Iron Claw, and he was in Shameless. I can pull him up really
I
quick
only know
here.
Zac Efron from the Iron Claw and MJF, but I doubt it's
You
him.
know, he was Zac Efron gave a great performance in The Iron Claw as well. But I'm talking Jeremy Allen White
Okay.
is the actor. He is the lead actor in The Bear, also a big role in Shameless. He is just everything he's been in has been fantastic. It'd be great to see him in a horror movie maybe one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Her next question: what's something you feel is missing from today's horror that was present in previous decades?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like today people I think are a little more afraid to take risks on depending on certain sort of I think they're afraid of certain social constructs or stuff like that of offending certain people or certain groups or anything something like that, which is certainly not a wrong thing, right? You never want to like offend people or whatever, but there's certain times where things are necessary in films, depending no matter what it is that can make an impact in a certain way. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that would be, short answer, I think, is that just afraid to take risks.
Yeah, see, I agree with that. A lot of people are holding it back for that too. But
Mhm.
something I hear way too often, and I really don't like it, is we cut some stuff because we wanted to keep it at a certain level, like NC-17 or whatever the case may be, so that
Mm,
more people will be able to see in the theaters. And that sucks because as horror fans, we want to see them go fucking insane. So
right. Yeah, I mean, look at Terrifier, right? They're not holding back. They don't care about their rating system. They get the NC-17. I don't think NC-17. I think they're just fully unrated.
right.
And obviously they're fucking some of the biggest horror movies going right now. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's something I think that's lacking. But there's a lot of indie films that do push the limits. You just have to find them. They're not
mhm,
as easily accessible as a lot of the things that people watch. So
mhm. Going back real quick, Jeremy Allen White was in a horror movie actually.
hmm.
The Rental. For
Oh,
those of you who have seen
okay.
that, which I enjoyed. Good flick with him. Dave Franco is in it as well.
I was like okay with that. I don't remember the score I gave it, but I
Maybe
remember
it's not.
being.
It's yeah. Dave Franco is in that, right? He
I
plays
think
like one
so.
of yeah,
Yeah.
or he directed it actually. Dave Franco
Oh,
directed it.
okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her last question: if you could go back to the '60s for one day, what would you spend your day doing?
Huh. I don't know. Exploring, I guess. Like, it's a very different time, obviously. I think I would go into a movie theater, right? Like the movie theater experience was so sort of unique and different back then that I would definitely want to experience that, like being able to experience Psycho for the first time in a movie theater and see how people reacted back then, and stuff like that. So I think that would be really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, my real answer, if I was actually going to go back to the '60s, I'd probably just go hang out with my grandparents, or my great
Hmm,
grandparents, because
sure.
so it'd be cool to see them young. It'd be kind of weird. It'd also be weird because my parents would be kind of babies, so that would be an interesting experience. But if I'm excluding like my family and everything like that, because it's one of those Back to the Future situations where it's like don't interact with anyone yeah, I'd probably just be curious of seeing different things like what they look like back then, like amusement parks, what they look like. I'd like to go to my hometown to see what it looked like. Where I live now, it's probably like just a big field, at that time. And it's just things like that, just to see kind of what the difference is of places and people. 60s are an interesting era. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
right. Was that Woodstock? I
Yeah,
would definitely go to
69 is Woodstock.
I would
So
totally head to Woodstock for sure. Gotta
oh
check
my
that
God.
out.
Yeah. That would, yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And our last series of questions here are from Kayla. Favorite on-screen kill? That is a
Wow.
loaded fucking
That is a
question.
loaded question. Oh boy. I mean, off the top of my head, the first thing that really comes to my mind is the is Tina's death in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, where
Mm.
she's getting, butchered by Freddy on the ceiling. It's just iconic to me and so memorable.
Yeah, and it's weird. I don't know why my head went there, but it's Tom Savini's death in Maniac. It's the
Mm.
first thing I thought of.
All right.
Just because holy shit, it's like really kind of out there. And so is the head explosion in Scanners. It's
Yes. Yeah.
two that just immediately popped into my head. So I guess the subconscious in me, that's
Of
my
course.
answer. You know?
Yeah. Goriest. I think the goriest kill of all time, well, it's kind of a cheat because it's multiple kills, but Lionel in Dead Alive / Brain Dead,
Sure.
the
Yeah.
lawnmower, of
Yeah.
course, scene is absolute classic.
No, absolutely. Our next one. Which conspiracy theories do you believe are legit?
Hmm. Oof. We could really
Yeah.
deep dive into this one.
Well, let's keep it to
God.
like horror, like supernatural.
Right. Yeah. 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 9/11 was an inside job. No, I'm just
Right,
kidding.
yeah,
No,
one
it's-
of those.
Yeah, I'm getting to the hardcore shit.
Right.
No, I do not think 9/11 was an inside job. Let me just clarify that, please. If Steve doesn't cut that, I just want to clarify that.
Right.
Okay, no, seriously. I believe in aliens 100%. Conspiracy theory. I don't even consider it a conspiracy theory. I think it's downright foolish to believe that we're the only living things in this entire universe, right? So yeah, 100% aliens. As far as others, I'm trying to think of other sort of horror legends. I don't believe in Bigfoot. I don't believe in like Loch Ness monster,
Hmm.
stuff like that. So I think as far as like the big stuff, aliens 100% to me exist.
So I believe there are aliens. I just don't believe they've come to Earth. I just
Yeah, sure.
don't think they've been here. As far as the one I believe, I guess ghosts is one that
Sure, yeah.
I have a lot of belief in because there are too many weird things that have happened and it's been too prevalent over all of mankind. Like people have been seeing ghosts since, the beginning of humankind, like for one reason or the other. So I feel there's
Sure.
something there to it.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of ghosts, I saw an interesting tweet or X, I don't know what they call it now, Xeet, whatever the fuck they call it. Where's the movie of a ghost that hangs out with its own zombie self, like a buddy cop movie where the
Good point.
zombie and the ghost are coexisting, but it's the same person twice. So
That'd be a wild one.
yeah, I'd pay to see that movie. I think Damien
Yes.
Maffei retweeted that one. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
Cool. If you want to get into like horror conspiracy theories, a recommendation for people who haven't seen yet, Room 237,
Hmm.
which is goes deep dive into a bunch of Shining conspiracy theories, including did Kubrick help fake the moon landing?
All right.
Which the deeper I get into that, the more I kind of believe that the moon landing could have been faked. The original moon landing. I think we've definitely been to the moon since, but I think there's some interesting thoughts to that one.
Theories. So why
Yeah, theories. Yeah.
America wanted to pretend they
Yeah,
went there before
of
the
course.
Russians.
Yeah, the space race. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like there's some interesting ones. Like there was the whole hanging Munchkin in Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
there
Which I think
was-
has been completely debunked at this point.
Yeah, because the 4K like restoration showed that it was just like a bird in the
Right.
background, but
Yeah.
it's the blurriness from the film that made it look like a human hanging.
Yep.
Then there was also the infamous ghost from Three Men and a
Three Men and a Baby,
which also
yeah.
got debunked with
Yes.
like footage that they later found of a cut scene where it was just a cutout of
Right. That still is really fucking creepy though. Like
It
if
is,
you watch
yeah.
it today, like it really is creepy, like in the background there. It really does look like a little ghost boy.
I love when these conspiracy theories, but there's one few times where it turns out to be real, right?
Sure, yeah.
Two examples I can think of, not necessarily horror, but one of them is the giant squid. They straight up just found a giant squid in the seas of Japan and filmed it and showed it, and it's like, yep, that
Wild.
was a real thing. And the other one, it's not really to horror, but that was always interesting. There was a rumor that they had buried all the Atari games in a dump.
E.T., right? Was
Yeah,
his-
E.T. specifically because of
Yeah.
the crash of the video games. And that was like the biggest rumor for years. And they just finally went to dig, and sure enough, fucking all the Atari games were there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, who knows? Maybe. And actually, you were just telling me off air that apparently they found Amelia Earhart's plane.
Earhart. Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
That's the Amelia Earhart. Yeah, we'll find out. But they claim they found it like 16,000 feet below sea level, like
Right.
100 miles from where she was originally supposed to refuel. So it's possible. I mean, I don't, I guess we'll find it. We'll see. I think they're probably going to end up taking a submersible down there to see if they can
Right.
see if it's real. So
All right, 3 fuck Mary kills to finish off before we get to the review.
lovely.
First one, puppet nurse from Silent Hill, Gozer from Ghostbusters,
Ah.
or Mama from Mama.
Mama from Mom. Oh yeah, she's like the really creepy looking
Like,
thing, right?
Yeah, it's like this black figure demon thing,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
a
I
kind
don't
of
remember
shadow
like
demon.
I don't remember much about Mama at all, but so I'm going to kill her.
Okay.
And then I will marry Gozer
Mhm.
because she's not bad, not bad
Yeah,
looking.
a gymnast in real life. So.
Yeah. And then who's that leaving? Oh, and then
puppet
fucking
nurse?
the puppet nurse. Yeah, it's kind of creepy, but whatever. She's got a nice body. So
Yeah,
sure, why not?
exactly. And no
Yeah.
face. But
Right.
that's so, yeah, I think I'm going to do the same on that one. It just makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
Next one, Norman Bates,
Hmm.
Ann Wilkes, and Kevin Wendell Crumb. That is split.
Split, yeah. Ooh, three pretty crazy people there. I'm going to marry Kevin Wendell Crumb because he's got so many different personalities.
It's like
It could be
roleplay.
really,
Yeah.
yeah, it could be like really interesting. You never know what you're gonna get
Right.
out of that person. So sure, I'll marry him. And then that leaves me with Annie, and who was the other one?
Norman Bates.
Norman Bates. Ooh. I will. I'll fuck Norman Bates, right? Because he's a cross dresser, right? So you get a little bit of, you can get him in the mom phase there, and then I will kill Annie Wilkes because she's a little too crazy for me. And they always say, "Don't stick it in crazy."
Right.
All three of them are, but
Yeah.
she's probably the most craziest.
I'm
don't know.
gonna. Yeah.
That's a debate. That's a
Right.
debate.
So I'm gonna fuck Annie Wilkes
Mhm.
because I'm straight. So
Yeah, but it doesn't matter in this.
Yeah, I know. I had no choice. As far as who I would marry, I'd probably go Norman Bates. He owns a business, keeps the house pretty clean. Like, sure, he's got a dead body in the basement, but whatever. I could stay upstairs. So I think I'm gonna marry him and kill Kevin Wendell Crumb.
Lovely.
Yeah, I don't feel like getting yelled at in 23 personalities, And finally, the Creeper, Pazuzu, and the Babadook.
Wow.
Hmm.
My goodness. Well, I mean, God, I guess I'd kill Pazuzu just because it's a demon. It's just pure fucking evil. So,
Right.
I mean, they're all bad, but I think I'm killing Pazuzu. So that leaves me between the Creeper and the Babadook, huh?
Yeah.
I will marry the Creeper
Hmm.
and fuck the Babadook. For really, I don't know why. I just
Okay.
I don't have good reasons. It's just,
you don't
you
have
left
good
me with not great
choices.
choices there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna marry Pazuzu for the same
Okay.
reason as I married Annie Wilkes. It's the only woman in the group. I'm going to kill the Creeper, and I'm going to fuck the Babadook because he's a gay icon. So he must know something. he must be
Indeed.
good somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, good for him.
Lovely.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
concludes our question period for the week. Thank you,
Yes.
everybody.
Yes. It got a little weird at the end, but thank
It
you
did. Yeah,
very much. That's why questions are always fun. So thank
Yeah.
you to everyone. Please send them. Continue to send them in. We'll do it every once in a while for you guys. So thank you for that. All right. So let's head into our main event of the evening, 1960s Black Sunday, directed by Mario Bava, starring Barbara Steele and John Richardson. A vengeful witch and her fiendish servant return from the grave and begin a bloody campaign to possess the body of the witch's beautiful look-alike descendant. Steve, I know this was my birthday pick, but I'm not very good with synopsises. So can you synopsize this one a little better?
I'll try to. So the
Yeah, it's kind of, this
story,
one's a little,
yeah,
a little light on the story, I feel like.
right. So the story starts where there's a bunch of people, like a flash mob, who are executing a woman because they believe she's a witch of some type, and also kind of a vampire. Not quite sure on that. At least there's vampires there, and they had just killed some other vampire dude who was also kind of being accused of witchcraft and stuff. So what they do is that they try to burn her on a stake and put this like demon mask on her, but there's like a freak rainstorm and they're too impatient to wait for her to be burned, so they end up just burying her in a crypt and left to rot for all of eternity. The story takes place 200 years later, where this doctor, or these two doctors, are going to a town, and they get into like a little bit of a cart accident, because this is like an ancient time kind of story. And while they're waiting for the cart to be fixed, they go into this abandoned church where they find the tomb of the witch. There's a like window that shows the witch's face, and they're kind of wondering why. So they find a little booklet that explains all the story points that they need to know. Very handy that they left that instruction guide right by the crypt. And yeah, so they keep going to wherever they're going, and there's these like this prince with his daughter and his son who live in a castle, and kind of things are starting to happen with them. The witch had been disturbed, of course, by the doctors, so she's starting to come back to life, and it's basically her coming back to life, the which also brings back the other dude, the vampire guy, and they start killing the people in the castle. So it's up to the doctors to kind of fix things, but one of the doctor disappears, and it's up to the last doctor to kind of figure out what's going on. It's really the gist of the story that I got from it.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Steve. All right. Yeah. So I'll start us off here, since this was my birthday pick. Overall, I gotta say, I definitely dug this one quite a bit. The atmosphere, and the cinematography is just both fantastic in this one. Especially the atmosphere. Like, these old school horror movies really know how to really like immerse you into sort of the settings and stuff like that. It just feels also authentic, and just beautifully shot. A lot of it's, the gothic sort of setting and everything. It's just great. The castle, and it's just all really just top-notch stuff here. Barbara Steele as our dueling, characters. She plays, the witch, and our sort of main damsel in distress, I guess. Aza, I believe, is her name in this one. Just amazing performance by her. She obviously 100%, in my opinion, carries this movie. Without her, I don't think it would have been the same style. I don't think we would have gotten the same movie that we ended up getting. She's great. Especially her evil witch character, just absolutely great. It's captivating. I was captivated every time she was on. Her witch character was on screen, which wasn't enough, in my personal opinion. I wish we got more of her evil witch character, because it's so great and so creepy and so interesting, especially like with all of the sort of, marks on the face from the mask, which they probably could have made a little gorier and cooler, but I get it. It's 1960s. The makeup wasn't what it could be today. But yeah, man, where this movie loses me is the story. Like, it's just too muddy. Like, it's just like not clear enough for me. Like, you get like, you do get from A to B eventually, but it's like, or A to C, I should say, eventually, but it's like the B part that's just like very muddled. And like you said, I mean, are they vampires here? Are there zombies? There's a witch. Like, it's a little unclear. I mean, we definitely get the witch, but everything else is sort of like weird there. I also like had a hard time following like who's who in this movie, like the characters. Like, okay, we have like the main dude who's sort of like the head of the family, the rich like count dude or whatever. But then there's like two other random dudes, and I couldn't place like who they were at times. Like, I'm like, okay, is that her brother? Is that her like boyfriend and stuff? So yeah, I started getting lost a little bit in the middle there, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I think I know what's going on, but I'm getting lost here and there." So I think, like I said, it hits a lot of the right boxes for me, but there's also, I think, a decent amount of issues here where it does start to lose me as well. And I will get more in depth once I hear from Steve about some of my favorite scenes and what I loved and what I didn't love so much. But yeah, overall, I dug it.
Yeah, I never know what to expect when I go into these older films, you know. So I kind of went in with no expectations on this one, and there are a lot of things I loved about it. The first 5 minutes, fantastic. It's kind of in the past. You have these hooded, like kind of executioner type people, and there's a lot of villagers, and they're putting that like creepy mask on her face to like keep her down, you know, with the face of Satan and everything. And there's the whole like kind of Salem witch trials situation where they're trying to burn the witch by the stake, and it was really interesting and really well like filmed and everything like that. The locations are great in this movie. You get a creepy cemetery, you get a cool castle, you go into like the tombs at some point, and yeah, so there's a lot of really good stuff about it. It's just like you that the story was kind of muddled. I was kind of confused. I agree with the people. Like I was like, okay, wait, that's the butler. I thought that was the doctor. And like I just don't know who is who. I'm not really sure why that is. I think because we don't get enough character development for a lot of the characters, and a lot of them seem like look alike. Like the prince, the butler, and the doctor looked one way, and then the brother and the other doctor looked another. You know, it was like other than Barbara Steele, like I was kind of confused as who was who. So that's, and she's playing two characters just to add, you know, insult to injury. There were some really cool stuff though. The practical effects were way better than I expected. There are two scenes in particular that stood out. One, when the witch's face is reforming, once you know the spell is kind of off of her, and also there's someone, and I think it's the butler that they throw into a fire at one point, and him melting was really cool as well. So there are some good things about it for sure. But overall, I was a little kind of, I don't know. I guess there were really some slow parts that I wasn't really into. I didn't dig the ending. And the vampire, I guess, is what I'm going to call him. When he comes back, he didn't do much for me. He was kind of just standing around a lot, which was weird. So
Yeah, which is like one of my biggest issues with the movie is her like sidekick, like vampire dude. Is in it more than like she is, the witch, and
yeah,
he's just not as cool, like or
it's
interesting,
not.
right? Like the main thing is the witch. Like, do we even see him get like executed in the beginning? I don't remember.
I
Like,
know he's already dead.
or he's already dead. Okay,
Yeah, they
yeah.
show his body, like, but he has a mask under it. So
Briefly, sure. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, I just don't even think he was necessary, like, in this role. I mean, maybe they just didn't want to give too much work to Barbara Steele. Like, maybe it would have overwhelmed her or something. But I think she easily could have done that, and we should have gotten more of her rather than more of sort of this vampire dude that comes back and kills. I wanted to see more of the witch character actually killing because she was just so cool. I mean, like you said, the intro is just awesome. Like it really is fantastic. That whole opening sort of 5-10 minutes is so cool. And seeing her get the mask put with the spikes put on was in the blood flowing down and stuff. It was such a cool scene. So like amazingly shot too. Just awesome. Just really awesome stuff there. Yeah. But you're right. Like I did not like the vampire dude. We needed more Barbara Steele witch and less of him. That
yeah,
really killed it for me.
I totally agree. And I don't know why this bothered me, but it really did. I didn't like his shirt. And I know it's a stupid comment, but he had this like dragon. They say griffin, I think, or something else, but it looked like a dragon to me. And it's got like, it's almost like sparkly. It almost looks like a shirt you would get at fucking like, I don't know, Lululemon or some kind of like trendy store today. So I don't understand. It just looked weird. It didn't look ancient like it should have for a character like that. I did like that he looked like the head vampire Lothos from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I'm actually
Yeah.
wonder if that's what they modeled Rutger Hauer in Buffy the Vampires to look like this guy, because it is kind of a popular-ish movie from the 60s. So that's something I was curious about. But there are also some rules I didn't understand. Like the prince dies, and then he's clearly dead because they're like mourning over him. But then he comes back to life as a zombie, but he's talking at the same time, and he
Hmm.
doesn't seem all that bad. But then they kill him again. It's just like, what are the rules here? I don't really
Yeah.
understand what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot in Italian like horror movies where like the narrative is never is can be confusing. Like it can get confusing, and like they're more about like style and not substance. I feel like in a lot of these, the same thing with like House by the Cemetery. There's like a lot of confusing things in that too, and some of Fulci's horror movies as well. So yeah, I think it's just like the Italian way. I think like they don't care as much about like the story, and they care more about sort of the set designs and the cinematography and stuff like that, which was fantastic, which was great in here. But as I think foreigners, as we're considered, I guess for us, we expect a more cohesive story, which we don't fully get here clearly.
Yeah. So at what point did they decide to stop with the town's pitchforks and torches? Because I feel like a lot of stuff pre like 1970 go to that immediately, where the town is,
Right.
and it's always. I was even looking for the pitchforks to make sure they were there. And yeah, sure enough, there they are. They're torches and pitchforks. It just seems like such a cliche story, even for 1960. I feel like it's cliche, because you've seen it a lot in the 30s and 40s. So I was like, that's weird. And another thing that bothered me, I don't know why it bothered me a lot in this one, but it did, is how quickly the doctor falls for Katya, which is
Mm.
Barbara Steele's character, because they have like very little interaction in this movie, and he is devastated when she dies, like devastated. He's crying. He's just beside himself. Like, you met her yesterday and maybe spent an hour with her since then. I don't know. Like, it's just this whole thing of the guy and the girl kind of falling in love so quickly it's a weird thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I never even felt like a real chemistry there. Also, apparently, too, I was reading like there was in the Italian version, because like obviously this was dubbed over later or something like that, but there's more of a incestuous potential relationship
Yeah.
that's hinted at as well between her and the brother character as well too, which we obviously don't pick up in the English version of this movie. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't pick up really any of that stuff or like the love story uh, either. Have you watched any of Bava's other movies, Steve? Is this your first Bava movie as
I
well?
have. I just don't remember which ones. I'd have to look at Letterbox, but maybe one or two others. I'd have to check to be sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen a few of them.
Okay,
But I'm not
yeah,
like super familiar with his work or anything.
sure, yeah, yeah. No, this is my first one, my first Bava movie, which I'm surprised about. But we'll be Black Sabbath. We'll be watching for our '60s list. I'm sure will be coming out. I know that one's highly regarded. He's also done Bay of Blood, which
Mhm.
is another supposedly popular one, and then Kill Baby Kill, which I know is another big one of his as well. So those are the few I'll be checking out as well. I don't know. I don't really have like a lot like I said, the story for me, the narrative is it's tough to talk about in this movie. So it's really more like style over substance for me. Yeah, I mean, just all the set designs fantastic. Barbara Steele. I mean, what'd you think of Barbara Steele? Were you confused by the dueling roles, or
No,
how'd you feel about her
because
performance?
I wasn't confused with the dueling roles because they're so like detached from each other. Like,
Yeah.
the witch was clearly in her crypt
Mm-hmm.
for the majority of the movie, and Barbara Steele was clearly in the castle, right? So it was easy to kind of put that together, and also the whole story that she's trying to take her body because she, kind of looks like her and stuff like that.
Right.
So that didn't bother me all that much, to be honest. It's but her performance was like fine. It's not one that I'm
Mm-hmm.
like particularly, that I'll remember that performance for a long time. I
Sure.
wasn't super impressed. It's not like I'd go to meet her. Well,
Meet
I'd
her at a
probably
con.
notice her more because now I know, but
Sure.
yeah, I wouldn't go meet her more so because of this film.
Yeah. I would. I thought she was like really good, really solid in this. And the main reason I'd meet her is like I don't really have any like 19 like 70s like
Right.
horror autographs, and I really did enjoy her role, especially her witch role in this. So I think it'd be cool to get something signed by her from this movie. So I think I will meet her. I don't think I've seen any of her other movies, though. I know she's considered sort of horror royalty now. Well, she did do Piranha from the 70s, which I've actually never seen. Have you seen Piranha, Steve?
Yes, I
From
watched it
78?
last year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, for the 70s list, I
Yeah.
assume, when we did 70s. Yeah.
Mhm.
But other than that, yeah, Pit and the Pendulum, which we'll be seeing here in the 60s. I know she was kind of typecast into horror, which she really wasn't intentional, but it
She has
kind of
that look,
happened.
right? That like kind
Right.
of yeah, I'm trying to see what I've seen of her. So I saw, yeah, Piranha, Pit and Pendulum, Black Sunday. I think that's all I have, at least that I watched in the last 2-3 years. But yeah, not super familiar with her work.
Right. So she's someone I definitely would be more interested in diving sort of into her filmography at some point as well. Because I thought I really did enjoy her here, and I'll be meeting her.
Yeah, awesome.
So
Um,
I'll update you once I do. She's
okay.
fucking 96, so I don't know. We'll see.
One story point that I wish they had explored more is so that there's a painting of the vampire
Yeah.
on the wall in the castle, and apparently once he resurrects, the painting changes, which they've
Hmm.
noticed. So that reminds me of a real story. Well, I'm putting in quotations, real story that I had heard growing up with my grandmother, who said that her uncle. So he went to, I think it was Italy. It was somewhere in Europe, but I think it was Italy. And he saw this painter there, like, just doing paintings of people, I guess similar to what people would do now with caricature drawings, and he had himself painted by this artist in Italy and had it shipped back to Canada, right? Which he said would take about 3 months. So I was like, fine, no problem. So he came back to Canada, he fell ill and unfortunately passed away. And I think a month and a half later, my grandmother, who's the one who was going to receive this painting, received it. And in the painting, he was like almost decaying. He had his eyes closed and it was decaying, as if the painting was reflecting what he looked like that day as opposed to when he was in Italy. And that scene kind of reminded me of that story. And unfortunately, she never showed me proof because that house burnt down conveniently. But that's always a story that resonated with me.
That's wild. Yeah.
Situations that I never thought that story would ever come up, but it did.
Right.
And that made me think of it because, like, it'd be interesting if the painting would show you what like a person looks like now, almost like a
Yeah.
video.
One last thing I heard you mention that you didn't love the ending. What was your issue with the ending?
It's the relationship part,
Yeah.
and the fact that she comes back alive.
Right.
It's, I don't know, like there's no
Uh,
reason for her to come back alive, and the
Right.
the relationship, I didn't feel the chemistry. I felt it was too forced. It was basically just young male meets young female, therefore automatically they have to be together and have the
Sure.
romantic ending, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I think it should have went dark, man. I think the witch should have won in the end. I think
I
she should have
agree.
took over. I think she should have took over the body, and they don't know it, right? And like, but it's really like the witch. I think that would have been a cooler way to go, but unfortunately, we did not get that.
No, we didn't. Two things that I noted, and one thing I love about watching older films is just looking at how the people in the 60s lived. Even though this is not set in the 60s, it's set earlier, but
Right.
just seeing how people lived. Two things that I think need to come back. One, awesome fireplaces. Holy shit, that fireplace was fucking
It
fantastic.
was.
Yeah. And two, we need to normalize capes again. I think capes are due for like a comeback in
All
fashion. Just
right.
people
Start it.
fucking rocking the cape like they did in Seinfeld, that one episode where
Oh yeah, with Larry David, right?
Gary
Yeah.
David, yeah, was with the one with the cape. I think it's time, people. Just let's get on it. Let's make capes a thing
All right.
again.
Bring back the cape and the top hat. I'm
Yeah,
into it.
cape, top
All right.
hat, and cool
Classy.
fireplaces.
Classy. I like
Yeah,
it. I'm into it. All
and you like
right.
the mask as well.
Yeah, Mask is awesome. After I watched the movie, I went and looked up and see if I could find a replica of it. There was somebody who was making it on Etsy for a while, but it says he no longer is making it. So, yeah, I couldn't find anything like regarding this movie as far as like any sort of, which isn't a surprise, I guess. But I saw Distinctive Dummies made a witch figure at one point, which was limited to like 50 and pretty much impossible to find
Right.
now. Because I was looking for something for Barbara to sign that
Sure.
maybe would be a little more unique than a Black Sunday poster, but unfortunately not. So I'll probably just have a 8x10
Right.
signed by her or something like that when I do meet her. So
Cool.
yeah, but the mask is cool. Really, I liked the design of that. It was cool with the
Awesome.
spikes and stuff. Alrighty, so I think that's about it, Steve. Let's get into rating. Go for it.
Yeah, so I liked watching it. I'm happy I did. Finally, it's just one that I'm happy I've knocked off my horror knowledge and slowly expanding my 60s knowledge with all these watches. I just don't see it being necessarily a top 10. If it is a top 10, not a good decade because I don't rate it super high. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I thought it aesthetically was very good, great effects at times, and the first scene was fantastic. I wish the whole movie was like that, but the
Mhm.
story was just a little too muddled. Character development just wasn't there for me, so I gave it 3 out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah. I mostly agree with you. Yeah, the story's just a little too muddled for me to rate this any higher than I'm going to, which is a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5 because I did still enjoy it. Like it's still, I think, a really solid movie. One, I think, horror fans, if you're trying to get through like, sort of the classics and stuff like that, the catalog, it's definitely one you should check off the box because the atmosphere, the cinematography, the opening scene is awesome. The witch character, Barbara Steele's witch character, is really cool as well. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm left a little, I guess, frustrated because I think there was better potential there, but it didn't fully reach its full potential, unfortunately. So will it make my top 10? Maybe. If it'd be low, it'd be low on my top 10, I think. It'd be like number 10 or 9 if it's gonna get there at all. So we'll see. We'll see how the rest of my 60s watches go. But overall, solid. I'm glad I watched it. 3.5 out of 5.
Nice.
All right. Alrighty then. I think that is going to be it then for this week's episode. Thank you so much for everyone that joined us for my birthday episode, my pick of Black Sunday. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Not sure what we're doing next week. We'll keep you up to date on our Discord, though, for sure. So
Yeah,
make sure
Todd's pick, and as
Okay.
again, he's not here this episode, so he didn't pick
Yes.
for us. So what a
Damn you,
bum.
Todd. Damn
That's
you.
why you need Discord. That's where we announce things like that.
Yeah, which is also the reason that we have a shorter episode this week as well, because without Todd, he fucks it all up. So thanks, Todd, once again. But no, seriously, thank you so much, everyone, once again. Don't forget, keep up with us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can email us anytime, the Horror Squad Podcast at gmail.com. But of course, the absolute best way to keep up with the podcast, once again, the Discord. Movie clubs every month hosted by Steve. A whole bunch of stuff over there. Amazing community, tons of channels to sift through, talk horror, non-horror, everything. So join us over there on the Discord. It's linked in our Instagram, or send us a DM, email. We'll send you a private link to get in on that Discord, completely free to join over there. You can also buy merch, tpublic.com. Search the Horror Squad Podcast. That's also linked on our Instagram as well. And we should probably make just a Discord channel with the link for that at some point, maybe, just so people can find it easier as well. But tons of awesome designs, new designs coming every once in a while. But we currently, I think, have 4 or 5 designs over there that you can select from: t-shirts, pillows, coffee mugs, all that good stuff if you'd like to support the podcast that way. Or you can leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That is helps the podcast greatly, helps get our name out there. So please do that. And don't forget, important dates: June 7th through the 9th, Living Dead Weekend in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. That is going to be the official Horror Squad Podcast meetup for this year. We are doing the 1 p.m. mall tour for the Dawn of the Dead filming locations. So please join us on that. You got to buy your tickets over on Living Dead Weekend's website. It will sell out. So if you do plan on attending, get that 1 p.m. Saturday slot if you can, if it isn't sold out already. And of course, October 11th through the 13th, Salem, Massachusetts, our Hocus Pocus event. More details to come on that. You can go to itsjustabunchofhalloween.com for upcoming details on that, or just follow us on our Discord socials. We'll be posting updates over there as well. And that's about it. So we'll see you guys next week for whatever Todd's pick is going to be. See ya.
Bye.